Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Durbanites FPL, coming to you again from the home of Durbanites FPL in Durban, South Africa. It's time for us to do the Game Week 4 review, Game Week 5 preview. Let's begin with the table. As usual, looking at the top half, a new leader, the fourth leader in 4 weeks. It's still very close up at the top. Fathi still hanging in there in third and fourth space, but getting overtaken this week. Quite a few challenges there, including one of our champions who's in the top 10, and otherwise a lot of close contenders. So 255 up at the top. Let's look at the bottom half of the table. Quite a few teams over the 200 mark as well, just 5 of them still to go. It's about 80 points the difference between the top and the bottom. A lot of fight in it as well. Zahra moving up as well from the bottom space. Ironwall FC up to 16. And here's the most recent champ now in 13th place, definitely moving up. It's going to be a tight race as we go through the season. Let's look at the player selections. So 2 staples coming up now. Mo Salah and João Pedro. Chosen by more than half the managers. João Pedro is a very good pick as a striker as well. Chelsea have been doing well and he has been at the center of that attack. Mo Salah just keeps coming up with the points, not as mercurial as last season, but he is there and thereabouts. Looking at the differentiators from the goalkeeper perspective, Robin Roofs has been really good this season for Sunderland. Just one manager having him 10 points coming up there. Phil Foden coming back with a bang. Definitely one to look forward to. Again, just one manager capitalizing on that, as with Joachim Anderson for Fulham, also picking up 10 points this week. Nicky van der Ven with a big 14 points, doing really well. Chosen by 30% of our managers. Antoine Semenyo chosen by 7 out of our 20 managers. And Erling Haaland chosen by just 9 out of 20 managers, but coming back with 13 points in this week. Looking at the hits and misses as well, lots of hits there from the forward point of view. All of those that favored Haaland did really well, so 20 points more for Hassan, Atta and Pai. And for the elite strikers, more than 30 points for Didi, for Hassan again with the second team, and for the fatality as well. Mohamed Sadik doing really well there, captaining Erling Haaland. In defense with DEFCON, look at that. Stonewalls for Hassan, for Didi, for Fathi, for Zax, for Atta, for Suwa, for Mobs, and for Squish. And then Mickey van der Ven helping a lot of them get over 30 points. So Fathi, myself, Azra, Squish again, definitely doing well on the defense there. And Zai coming up with more than 30 points in defense. Just 2 misses to talk about here. Big hot benches for Fathi and Azra, both of them sitting with 21 points on the hot bench. Not a very good week for them in terms of that. Now looking at the best possible selection as well. Here's the back line there. Roofs up in the goalkeeper, keeping Pope on the bench. Virgil van Dijk, Van der Ven getting the captain's armband. Gabriel and Anderson making up the back 4. The midfielders making a comeback now. Foden managing to squeeze in there with Semenyo, Salah and Pape Mate Sarr coming in. And then up front, Haaland and João Pedro making up the front line, leaving Pope, Gehi, Palmer and Isidore on the bench. Now, this team would have got you 127, 150 with a bench boost, but an insane cost of 108 million, which no one can afford at this moment in time. So, going forward, let's look at the matchups for this week. As you can see, not many green matchups coming up. It's getting quite tough as we get into this end of the first period of the season. Looking at that, Arsenal's got 2 tough games coming up. They can win them. I mean, Arsenal are looking really good this season, but City and then Newcastle, one after the other, it's not going to be easy, especially playing Champions League matches midweek. It's going to stretch that team. Same for Brighton and Burnley, as you can see. Got some tough matches coming up back to back. And then you've got Everton and Fulham as well. Not the most favourable matches in there. On the flip side though, Aston Villa still have a fairly good run on paper, even though they are really struggling. However, they have scored their first goal of the season midweek, so hopefully that means there's better things to come. Liverpool with a good match against Everton. Guys, I just want to call out the latest weather reports say that this match could be cancelled because of inclement weather. It has happened last season as well. So far, no official news from the Premier League on the cancellation, but just keep that in mind in your team selection. Then you've got Notts Forest, who are under new management, got pounded last week, but they do have Burnley and Sunderland back-to-back promoted teams, chance for them to actually kickstart their season with Ange Postecoglou playing his attacking brand of football before they get to Newcastle. Then you're looking at Spurs as well. Brighton is a tricky customer, but then Wolves and Leeds to follow that. Not looking like a bad run for Spurs right now, and they're doing really well, especially with their defensive contributions, so just keep an eye on that. And then you've got Wolves, who have had a terrible start to the season, sitting right down at the bottom of the log, but they do have a fairly good run coming up and a chance for players there to start making their mark as they move into the season, and start competing to get off the bottom of the log. Looking at our call-outs though, so for the back line, quite a few injuries as you can see, and quite a few players missing, especially from Everton, Man City as well. Sunderland Ballard is looking to make his comeback. He just hasn't played in a while. Ben White's still out for Arsenal as well, and as you can see, Notts Forest struggling a bit. Ola Aina's out for sure. Murillo's undergoing a late fitness check, so might not be available. Fabian Schär is now injured for Newcastle, and Kieran Trippier is doubtful. Now, looking at the picks though, for this couple of weeks, Nottingham Forest South might be a good pick if you have him. Good fixtures coming up for them. Vicario from Spurs is looking strong with their defense in front of him. And Dean Henderson is, of course, one of the Premier keepers, even from last season, doing really well again this season. Looking at the defensive side, Pedro Porro and Van de Ven have been the outstanding defenders for Spurs. Cuti Romero's also been doing well if you've got the money to afford him, but these two look a lot better in terms of attacking threats. Crystal Palace triple up here. Gehi, Lacroix, and Munoz. Guys, depending on your budget, feel free to choose any one of these three. They've been doing fantastically well. Clean sheets, defensive contributions, the option to score goals from set pieces as well. So quite a good pick among these three. Tino Livramento for Newcastle has been a bit of a godsend for them this season. Really, really good on the attacking space as well. Then you've got Cucurella for Chelsea. Even though tricky fixture against Manchester United, who can do any number of things on a particular day, but he has been good in attack as well. Virgil van Dijk, good fixture against Everton this week. Ezri Konsa as well for Aston Villa, and then Milenkovic will probably be a start for Nottingham Forest, even though they were quite poor last week. 2 good games back to back coming up. Looking at the midfield, Saka is on his way back, but is a doubt whether he will start or even get any minutes this week against Manchester City. The same for Martin Odegaard. Does leave the door open for Eberechi Eze to play a full 90 minutes for Arsenal. Spurs are still struggling. Madison is out. Kulichevsky is out. Anthony Gordon still suspended after that game against Liverpool. And Palmer did play in midweek. It's possible that he could have still a little bit of doubt or limited minutes, but he should be available for Manchester United. Ismail Assar is out from Crystal Palace. Marmoush out for City, as well as Ryan Cherki. And Jacob Ramsey picking up a knock for Newcastle, so he's not available for selection. From the picks, Mo Salah still remains on the table, as he has for most of last season. So is Szoboszlai after that free kick against Arsenal, expecting to do big things. Eberechi Eze we spoke about already, and then we've got Tijani Reinders in from Manchester City. Good game coming up against Arsenal, but he could be key to unlocking that Arsenal defense. Then you've got Morgan Rogers for Aston Villa and Doniel Haaland, both of them expected to play based on the number of injuries that Villa have in midfield as well, and again, probably the best route to points from an Aston Villa perspective. Antoine Semenyo at Bournemouth, not the most fantastic fixture this week, but he is on fire this season, guys. Dango Otara at Brentford has been fantastic since he's joined there. Kudus and Johnson for Spurs have been essentially where they're looking at getting goals coming in. The strikers are not really firing yet. Ismail Assar, should be out from there. He will not be available for selection this week. You've got Ndoye and Anderson for Nottingham Forest. Again, firing a few blanks in the last couple of games. Some issues with management there. Now a new manager is in place. Good fixtures in the next 2 weeks for them to kickstart their campaign again. So just watch for these Nottingham Forest players. And then, of course, we've got Cole Palmer from Chelsea as he makes his return. Now, looking at the forwards as well, you've got Gabby Jesus, who's out. Kai Havertz out for Arsenal. So Victor Gyökeres is a lock for Arsenal, but tough games coming up in the next 2 seasons. Then you've got Stan Larson still doubtful for Wolves. Liam Delap is out at Chelsea. Wissa still with his knock at Newcastle, will not start. Then you've got Solanke out at Spurs. Now, what does that mean? That means Erling Haaland, the goal machine, scoring in midweek as well. He has had a fantastic start to the season. Not an easy game against Arsenal, but you would not leave him out considering the form that he's on currently. Ollie Watkins, great fixtures. Aston Villa are struggling, but I figure they've got to score sometime. If you're looking at an option there, maybe you can't have Haaland. Watkins might be an option for you. João Pedro at Chelsea is doing so well. Good fixture this week against Manchester United. Let's see what he can do. Then you've got Chris Wood at Nottingham Forest. Again, great start to the season. Has faltered a little bit. They're having some challenges. New manager in with a very attacking mindset. Possibility for him to get in among the goals in the next 2 weeks. Ugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak. There's a little bit of conversation here. Isak getting some minutes in the game midweek in the Champions League. Not sure whether he will start against Everton this week or Ekitike will start. If Isak starts, Ekitike might drift to the left-hand side, which will then also impact minutes for Cody Gakpo. So it becomes very tricky now with this Liverpool squad that is, I dare say, bloated. So there's a bit of rotation that has to take place now within that team. And nevertheless, don't forget that fixture against Everton is still currently up in the air. It might not take place based on the weather. So if you're banking on these Liverpool players, just make sure that you have good substitutes as well. Nick Waltermada scored for Newcastle as well last week, so making a great, fantastic debut goal. Now it's time for him to see what he can do as he go forward. He's going to be the central focal for that attack as well. Will definitely start ahead of Will Osula. So a good choice if you're looking for a striker to put in there. And then you got Jean-Philippe Mateta, also a good fixture this week. Crystal Palace are struggling in the creative department with the absence of Eberechi Eze, of course. But Jean-Philippe Mateta is still on penalties and a good shout out for scoring the goals. And for Spurs, currently favouring Richarlison as the striker of choice with Solanke out and not really many other options to put in there. Randall Colomwani could come in at some stage. At this moment in time, he has still not kicked the ball for Spurs. Now, that's what we have for this week, guys. Quick wrap up there. Game week 5 leads in very quickly to game week 6. All the exciting stuff happening. Let's see if you're playing your wild cards and free hits. Please let us know in the comments. Quite a few wild cards played last week as well, post the transfer window, and some good points and returns coming in from there. Game week 6 is a prime game week for playing the triple captain based on the Manchester City Burnley game. Maybe drop a comment, let us know what you're thinking about that. But that's all we have for this week. Looking forward to the Arsenal Man City clash. It's going to be a good one. Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop us a comment. See you the next time.